We are noticing, as we are visiting with so many of you, that often it is not another word that is required or even beneficial, because so often you are using your words to try to compensate for the way you are really feeling. And so anything that causes a shift in your vibration or an improvement in your mood is a wonderful thing. We are actually working toward helping you be more wordless and more paying attention to the way you feel. Because often you use words to try to explain, and then you just get yourself in further from who you are. Or you use words to try to compensate when words don't really work.
Understood.
People say, well, what's the point of an affirmation? And we say, well, anything that causes you to focus in a more positive direction is certainly a wonderful thing. But it is the I want to feel good and really meaning it that is the symbol that you're reaching for. You cannot be in step 1, the asking mode, and in step 3, the receiving mode at the same time. So Esther has to ask and then find some way of separating herself from the vibration of asking before she can receive. So she is like most of you. Life causes her to ask, and when she is distracted from the vibration of not knowing the answer, then the answer comes. It's like looking for something that you think is lost. You can't find it until you forget that you think it's lost, and then it will turn up for you. It's that same sort of thing. So for Jerry and Esther, often Esther will say to Jerry, I would like to talk to Abraham about this, and this is what I'm feeling about it, and this is really my question about it. And then Jerry will sit and visit with Abraham about it. And then Jerry will either relate it to Esther or they will record it. Or sometimes Esther can type for a little while what she wants to talk about, and then she goes off and does other things, comes into meditation. Then she will get back on her computer and receive the answer and then go back and read it. But it is the same for Esther as it is for any of you. You cannot receive an answer when you're all balled up in the question. In other words, when you're all balled up in the question, that's what's most active within you. And an unanswered question, a question that feels unanswered, doesn't allow an answer. Isn't that interesting? I don't know the answer to this, so I think I'll ask someone, but I don't know the answer to this, so I think I'll ask someone. So the thing that happens with Abraham is that sometimes if you come with a level of expectation of receiving some clarity, then we can build a sort of bridge between your question and your receiving the answer. But you certainly do not need us for the answers to your questions. Life will give them to you. You can't ask without it becoming immediately vivid in your vibrational reality. So the question that you're asking is, how does someone get from a reality that's full of a question to the vibrational reality that's full of the answer? And we say meditation helps. You stop your thoughts, so you stop resistance, and then you can vibrate more in the vicinity. That's why many people in meditation receive answers, because you stop the thought that hasn't been letting the answer come, you see. You see, anything that happens isn't about what you think it's about. It's not about that person. It's not about what's happening there. It's about a vibration that you've got going on within you that person and that relationship just demonstrates to you in a more vivid way, you see. Let's start with the idea that something that is real in your life, and sometimes it's something significant. A noisy refrigerator isn't in the scheme of things, but sometimes it's something that's significant that's bothering you. So you're giving your attention to this thing that's bothering you, and in doing so, you're training yourself into a vibration that matches this thing that's bothering you. You don't mean to. You think you're exploring it. You think you're debating it. You think you're evaluating it. But what you're really doing by attention to anything is training yourself into a vibrational pattern about it. And law of attraction is complicit in that. When you give your attention to something, you're going to get stuff like it. So it's easy to keep that ball rolling, whether it's something you want or something that you don't want. So let's say it's something you don't want, and you've let your attention to it train you into vibrational alignment with it. So, and you've done it consistently enough that it's an active vibration within you. All an active vibration, that's what a belief is. It's just a thought you keep thinking. But we would rather call it an active vibration. Because every thought that you've ever thought still exists somewhere, but if it's not active within you, then it's not part of your attraction. If it is active within you, it's part of your attraction. So there are two ways you can tell what's active within you. One is how you feel, which is what's active within you in relationship to what you really want. And the other is what's manifesting. What's manifesting always matches what's active within you. It cannot be any other way. Mm-hmm. So let's say that there's this subject that you've been giving your attention to, and you've made that vibration active within you. Now you change subjects altogether, but you have another experience that feels pretty much the same way. Even though it's a different subject, it still feels the same way. It still revolves around your feeling of powerlessness, or it revolves around your feeling of too much to-do-ness, or whatever. So if you take the time on any one issue and you tell the story as it really is by making that issue inconsequential in the greater scheme of things. In other words, sure, this is something that's problematic to me, but compared to everything else, and then as you take that and talk with appreciation about the things that are going well, you deliberately train that vibration, that problematic vibration, you train it into a different place. And when you do, a new indicator will show itself to you, because all that was an indicator of vibration to begin with. So if you look at the indicator of vibration and you keep looking at the indicator of vibration, you're going to get more indications of vibration just like it. But if instead of looking at this indication of vibration and perpetuating it on and on, if instead you deliberately look at something else that puts that into perspective. In other words, of course this is going wrong, but compared to the other things in my life that are going right, so you bridge yourself into a different vibration. Now, what's interesting to watch with you is that, so you pull yourself over, but this is still more active, so it'll pull you back. But you pull yourself over, but this is still more active, so it'll pull you back. So you pull yourself over by looking at things that you appreciate, making lists of positive aspects, getting on a rampage of appreciation, blah, 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 but you don't mean it because that's what's really active, so this will pull you back. But you keep making the effort. You pull yourself over, it pulls you back. You pull yourself over, it pulls you back. You pull yourself over, it doesn't pull you back quite as far. Now you've got a new set point. But don't stop there, because this is still pretty active and it's still not where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So you pull yourself over into appreciation, into the true sense of who you really are, trying to see it from broader perspective. And as you keep doing that, eventually what will happen is you will train this valid, real vibration. You didn't make it up. You were just responding to life, but you will train it into the place that you want it to be rather than in the place that it is. And as you stay there for a little while, now the manifestations that start turning up around you are more like this. They can't be like that. They're more like this, you see. And before you know it, because subject after subject keeps showing you, so then part of that source energy is expressing itself here in the human personality that is you, in this egotistically, selfishly focused. And by that we only mean you see through the eyes of self. You see through the eyes of self, which means as you explore and know what you don't want, you know what you do want. The self within you, all the synthesizing of the self within you knows what you prefer. And when you come to that conclusion, whether you speak it or not, and you do it all day, every day, the larger part of you who is so certain that you should know, after all, you are pure positive energy, extended out here on the leading edge of thought, exploring contrast, and from your point of view, coming to a conclusion of what you think would be better for you. The source energy part of you does not question that. But you have to understand, it's not just source answering what you're asking for. Source is answering what everyone is asking for. Everyone. Imagine how wonderful it is when billions of humans and all kinds of other physical creators also, your beasts and even microbes, are having experiences and are asking. Even the one-celled organism is having evolution through vibrational expansion. In other words, even the one-celled organism is exposed to contrast and is emanating preferences of what would be better. So if Source, who is not just answering you, leading edge creator, but is answering all leading edge creators, can you feel how the whole of creation is moving up to better and better places? Source isn't saying you're the good ones and you're the bad ones, and so we'll answer your request but not yours. Everyone who asks, no matter what, everyone who asks is answered. And so this source energy expansion is becoming more and more and more. But humans, the critical experience that humans feel is that often as individuals you have expanded and then you don't take your own expansion. You stay over there beating the drum of something that is, and so you don't let yourself be who you are. The best words that we can offer is that life has caused you to become more. Are you letting yourself be it? And the answer is, if you're feeling joyful in this moment, yes. If you're feeling hatred in this moment, no. You became something that you're not letting yourself be. And the funniest thing of all, funny, not funny the way you think funny, but it's really an interesting, odd thing, is that the very thing that caused your expansion is almost without exception the very thing that you're using as your excuse not to take your expansion. So when you get it, how this all fits together, and you begin to, little by little, show yourself, because you're right, words don't teach, show yourself the vibrational alignment with you so that you train yourself into the best that you have become, then, to be physically focused in this life, in this leading edge life, having trained yourself into vibrational alignment with the eternalness that you are, now you get to see moment by moment, this world, this leading edge world, you get to see it through the eyes of Source. Just doesn't get any better than that. And we think so many of those ancient teachers were talking from that perspective because they understood through meditation. They released resistance. They came into alignment. They did all kinds of things that brought them into alignment where they saw the world through the eyes of Source. But then as they teach others, they see how difficult it is for people to see the world through the eyes of Source when they're beating the drum of things gone wrong. And so they explain, don't beat the drum of things gone wrong. Let those things of a worldly nature, let them not be what you give your attention to. Turn your attention to things that are more important. And we want you to understand that there is nothing more spiritual than full manifestation, because everything that you see as full manifestation is an extension of this source energy, you see. And you can feel your alignment or not so much alignment in every single moment. And no matter what philosophy you're studying or adhering to, no matter what, you can't get it wrong, because the whole of it is established so powerfully, and the basis of life, all life, is such incredible well-being that the worst thing that could ever happen, and it's not a bad thing, is that a human could somehow get separated from his own expansion. You see, you can't even be born and not reach and get separated. The only thing that could ever cause, you could not be born. Oh, hear this, new place. So your source energy, and you come forth. You could not, from your pure positive energy, source energy perspective, then come forth into the physical and be separated from who you are just by that function. Stay with us, you're really going to like this. The only way man could ever, we like this so much we can hardly stand it. The only way man could ever get separated from source is to live expansion that he doesn't take. We're coming around again. So your source, let's call you an angel. You're born. Nothing in that function could ever separate you from source. It's what life causes you to expand to. It's your, in this life, personal expansion that is the only thing that you can get separated from. It's so big, can you hear it? In other words, if you came forth and you saw no contrast, and so everything was exactly as you thought you wanted it to be, a truly feathered nest, so nothing ever made you ask for more, then there could never be any separation between you and you. But because you deliberately came for the contrast, because you deliberately came from the expansion, it's only your own expansion that ever gives you negative emotion. Don't you love knowing that?
There
Don't
it
you
was.
love knowing that? And don't you therefore want to bless and appreciate the contrast that is the basis of the expansion? Don't you love being alive? Don't you love the feeling of becoming? And doesn't it feel like such a sure thing? Because when you croak, you'll release all.